This presentation details the curriculum field-based project that I completed. First, let's look at who this plan would impact. It would impact the Muscle Shoals City School System, specifically kindergarten students at Howell Graves Preschool. To complete this plan, I had multiple conversations with the following people: the principal, Shanetta Smith, the school's instructional coach, Sandy Armstrong, the school's reading intervention teacher, Brittany Calton, and myself, who serves as the special education teacher of the school. The goal of this plan is to increase the percentage of kindergarten students reading at a level D or above, according to the running record section of Scholastic's Next Step Guided Reading Assessment, by 4%. Talking with the people that I just mentioned, we discussed that this was an area of need for our school. Last year was the first year that we incorporated the Scholastic's Next Step Guided Reading Assessment. And because of that, teachers were a little unsure of how exactly to prepare for this assessment. In order for students to be considered proficient and ready for first grade, they should be reading at a level D or above. This helps align with the standard RFK.2, which says that students will demonstrate understanding of spoken words, syllables, and sounds, phonemes. In order to determine our goal, we looked at the running record section of the Scholastic's Next Step Guided Reading Assessment. In October of 2018, 53.9% of the kindergarten students in Muscle Shoals City Schools scored at a level pre-A, which means they are not yet reading, and 13% of students were reading at or above a level D. This assessment was taken again in January and in March. As you can see at the chart on the right, the reading levels improved drastically throughout the school year. In March of 2019, only 3.4% of kindergarten students were still reading on a level pre-A, and 47.3% of students were reading at or above a level D, which was a vast improvement. If you'll look at the chart, though, you'll see that a large majority of the students still scored in the level C range, 32.0% of students. So they were very close to meeting that benchmark of level D or above, but they did not successfully complete that by the end of the school year. Therefore, we decided that with a tremendous decrease in the percentage of students who scored at level pre-A from October to March, there's still much room for growth in the percentage of kindergarten students who can read grade level text proficiently or at the level D or above. Therefore, the goal we set was to increase the reading foundational skills in all kindergarten students. In order to achieve that goal, we decided that there were several objectives that we could do as a school to improve the instruction so that students could be more successful in their reading proficiency. The first objective was that teachers would attend monthly professional development on implementing research-based reading strategies into their reading instruction. This professional development would be provided by our school's instructional coach because she has had much time to research several different strategies that are effective in promoting reading proficiency. Also, teachers would need to analyze the reading testing data. A third thing that would need to happen is that teachers would provide parental support in the area of reading proficiency. And finally, teachers will collaborate on technological tools that support reading instruction. Let's look more closely at the first strategy. This strategy states that teachers will attend monthly professional development to understand A, the purpose of implementing research-based reading strategies into their reading instruction, and B, how to implement research-based reading strategies into their reading instruction. First, it's important for teachers to have some buy-in. So teaching them about the purpose of including these reading strategies into their reading instruction is very important. So professional development would need to start there so that teachers can see why it's so important to include strategies when they're teaching students how to read. But the main focus of the professional development would be to implement or how to implement these strategies into their whole group reading instruction, but more specifically, their small group reading instruction. The people that would be responsible for this part or this strategy would be the general and special education teachers, the reading intervention instructor, the instructional partner, and the principal. All of these people would need to be present during these professional development opportunities so that they can all learn together and look together at these strategies. The timeline of this strategy would be August to May because these meetings would be monthly. The standard that this strategy utilizes is Commitment 3, which states that knowledgeable practicing professionals form communities of learners through collaboration, teamwork, and research-based approaches. The next strategy that this plan would use is that teachers would analyze reading testing data. This would be an important strategy, and it has several parts. First, teachers would analyze it to determine their individual student needs. When this group met, we discussed the importance of not only promoting growth in our average students and above average students, but also the students that are at risk, our special needs population, our English language learners, those kinds of students as well, because we want to see how we can improve their growth from where they are. Teachers would also analyze the reading testing data to know how to best levelize their reading small groups. This is something that's a new way of teaching in a lot of elementary settings. Instead of whole group being where the majority of reading instruction is provided in the general education classroom, now we're looking at giving most of the instruction in small groups so that students are together based on their specific levels. Finally, teachers would analyze their reading testing data to determine which students would qualify to receive intervention services, to be pulled out to get some specialized reading instruction, that Tier 2, Tier 3 reading instruction, so that they can grow as well. All of this is important because teachers should analyze this data so that they can help their students individually grow. The persons responsible for this strategy would be the general and special education teachers, the reading intervention instructor, the instructional partner, and the principal. The data would need to be analyzed during the entire school year. So this would be from August to May. Running records is given 3 times during the school year, but there are other forms of assessments that can be utilized to see how students are reading. This assessment can be formal or informal assessment. Finally, there are 2 standards that are addressed with this strategy. Commitment 2, which states that knowledgeable practicing professionals have the knowledge and ability to use assessment strategies to guide their teaching. And Commitment 5, which states that knowledgeable practicing professionals value and plan for diversity in instructional strategies. That's why it's so important for this testing data to be analyzed so that we can work towards meeting individual student needs. The third strategy of this plan would be that teachers will provide parental support in the area of reading proficiency. I feel like this is a very important part of this plan because it promotes positive relationships between teachers and parents. Teachers could do this in 2 ways. One is through a parental workshop at the beginning of each semester of the school year. This workshop would be given by the reading intervention teacher as well as the instructional coach. But at the workshop, parents could receive important strategies that they could use at home to promote reading proficiency. And also, teachers can provide parental support through leveled homework passages. These passages can be sent home during the week, and students can be working on reading these leveled passages just so that they can begin to read more fluently. Parents can use the strategies that they learned at the parental workshop at home while their students are reading these leveled homework passages. The persons responsible would be the general and special education teachers, the reading intervention instructor, the instructional partner, the principal, and the parents. The timeline for this intervention would be different depending on which part of the strategy. For the parental workshop, this would just be impacted in the months of August and January, but the leveled homework passages should happen throughout the school year. This strategy promotes Commitment 3, which states that knowledgeable practicing professionals form communities of learners through collaboration and teamwork, and this would be through teamwork and collaboration with parents of the students. The final strategy is that teachers would collaborate bi-monthly on technological tools that support reading instruction. This is something that we found really promotes teachers working together and sharing what works in their classroom, what doesn't work in their classroom, so that everybody's working together on the same goal. Technology can often be used to promote reading proficiency. There are a lot of great apps out there that have several different reading passages that are already levelized, and so students can listen to stories, text read at their Chromebooks at their desk while other students are working on something else. The persons responsible for this would be the general and special education teachers, the reading intervention instructor, and the instructional partner. The timeline for this intervention, since it would be bi-monthly, would be the months of September, November, January, March, and May. And this strategy implements Standard 4, which states that knowledgeable practicing professionals use technology to support assessment, planning, and instruction for promoting student learning, as well as Commitment 6, which states that knowledgeable practicing professionals know and use self-awareness and reflection as decision-making tools. This would give teachers an opportunity to really reflect on what's working as far as technology goes in their classroom and what is not. So now let's look at some of my reflections from this plan. Using the data from the Running Records section of Scholastic's Next Steps Guided Reading Assessment would be easy to determine if the strategies that we are implementing are successful, because if they are, then the student data will improve. We'll have more students that are scoring at that level D or above. Also, because teachers are using research-based reading strategies and collaborating with other professionals in the building, this goal definitely has the potential to be met. I believe there are several positives to this plan. One is that it increases collaboration between teachers. Teachers are able to learn from one another and grow professionally. Another positive of this plan is that it promotes positive communication between teachers and parents. A third positive of this plan is that at-risk students are considered. Teachers are using their reading small group time to teach to the various levels of students in their classrooms. A final positive of this plan is that it encourages the use of a variety of research-based reading strategies, which is proven to promote student success. So I believe with all of these things in place, our school has the potential to have a 4% increase of students that are at the level D or above, according to Running Records. I do believe that I have some areas in need of development for this plan. I believe the major negative of this plan is that it is time consuming. Teachers might feel overwhelmed with all of the professional development and collaboration opportunities that are necessary for this goal to be met. However, because this is a new test, a new assessment that our school is using, I believe we really need to have a lot of time devoted to working towards figuring out how to prepare our students for this assessment. But if I were to look at this again, I would definitely eliminate some of the meetings in order to minimize teacher frustration and or burnout. Instead of doing these meetings face-to-face, some of these meetings could be done over technology through Google Classroom or something like that. Thank you for listening.